So, if you want to feel ease in your holiday kitchen this year, so you actually enjoy yourself instead of feeling stressed out and frazzled and resentful, then you're in the right place. So, listen on to find out. In this episode, I'm going to share one tiny technique to help bring ease and joy into your holiday kitchen. Hi, so welcome to Joyful Eating, episode 203. So today we're talking about one tiny technique that's really small, that's going to bring ease and joy into your holiday kitchen. But before we get to that, the best bite I had recently is actually it was something that came from one of my students in my Joyful Cooking group, and she had shared like she was planning to make eggs on toast. And then she was like, no, I'm going to like jazz things up a bit. And so she put some like tomato and other veg on the toast. And then she used sprinkled over nutritional yeast and smoked paprika. And I was like, that sounds like a winning combination. So I've been using that myself, like with on poached eggs. I had it with asparagus one day. I had it with some greens from the garden the other day. And it was just like, if you haven't ever used nutritional yeast, it's this, I think it's by byproduct of brewing. I'm not sure actually where it comes from, but these little flakes, and it has that like kind of a cheesy flavor to it. Like it's got heaps of depth to it. And so you just sprinkle the flakes over. So then the combo of that kind of cheesiness of the nutritional yeast with the smokiness of the paprika, like it would just added so much umami, like so much complex flavor. And it's so simple as well. So I invite you to get some, if you haven't ever, grab some nutritional yeast and give it a go. Okay, so our plan today is first I'll share the story behind this episode, and then we're going to look at what is this one tiny technique I'm banging on about that can radically change your experience of being in the kitchen. And then I've actually got 8 concrete examples where I'm going to walk you through how I've actually used this technique and how it's made my life easier when I've been entertaining. And I've got a bonus tip for you to share at the end. Okay, so the story behind this episode, basically, so normally like, in a formal life, like when I was didn't have a family, like I used to entertain a lot when I lived in Sydney. I'd have people over all the time. And so it really like it was just normal. That's what I did. It was like, I loved having people in the house. And then, of course, having family and stuff, moving to the country, not so much. So these days I don't entertain as much as I used to. And so I actually had there were a couple of events coming up that we wanted to invite people over for, and in November, and I was like, okay, like I know I'm out of practice, like, and I knew I didn't want to feel stressed out. So I decided to do an experiment of just really focusing in on asking myself one question to guide my decision making and everything that went along with having those people over. And without further ado, so what is this one question or the one technique? So the tiny technique was just asking myself the question, how can I let this be easy? And so I did that when I was planning what I was going to have, when I was inviting the guests over. I just kept it in the back of my mind. How can I let this be easy? How can I let this be easy? When I was doing the shopping, how can I let this be easy? When I was like prepping, how can I let this be easy? And just kept asking myself that pause on like that question on repeat. And of course, when you ask yourself good questions like this, like your brain comes up with, our brain's very clever and we come up with amazing answers. And so it really changed like how I felt about entertaining. Like we had like one event was like it was 20 people, like that's a lot for me. And like because I'd asked myself that question so many times, it ended up it was like it was such a joyful, experience of like having people, kids running around. Like it was just I was like able to be present with my guests. I wasn't like frazzled in the kitchen. I was able to, stand around, have a drink, have a bit of a chat. When it was time to serve up, great, went into the kitchen and served up. But like it felt really easy. And so I can't like emphasize enough how like just this one question can really change your experience of cooking. And you can use it like, yes, it's really helpful when you're entertaining, but you can use it in every day as well. So let's go through some concrete examples of how I actually use this question and the actions that I took because of asking myself this question that enabled me to feel that cool, calm, and collected host. And also, like after everyone had left, like I wasn't left with a mountain of washing up at the end. Like it was like that part of the experience was definitely better than normal as well. So great. So examples. So one of the meals, not when we had 20 people, it was a smaller group, but one of the meals, we I'd planned to do lamb and hummus, and of course, normally I would normally make my own hummus, of course, but I was just like, how can I let this be easy? And I was like, well, there's some pretty good commercial hummuses out there. Why don't I get some? And so I was like, okay, I'm going to buy hummus. And then when I was actually at the store, I was like, oh, I couldn't decide between a couple of different brands, so I got two different brands of hummus. And then what we did was I actually made a feature of it. So one of the hummuses I served out into a bowl, and then the other one we just served it at the table in the container. And so it was clearly that everyone could see that there were two different ones. And we had a bit of a discussion about it. And I got like everyone to taste both of the different hummuses, and it was unanimous. Everyone loved it was called Humble Hummus was the brand, and nobody liked the other one. And amazing. Like it actually, rather than it being me thinking, oh yeah, I should be making my own hummus, like I'm feeling bad about it, it actually became a feature of the meal. And it was actually really enjoyable and fun for the guests as well. So that was one example of letting it be easy. I also, for that meal, I had been thinking about making some rose harissa, which is a Moroccan sauce, which is super super delicious, goes really well with lamb. It's a chili based thing, but of course you can buy great harissa as well. So I bought again a couple of different brands, and then I just blended them up. And so yeah, it wasn't as good as if I had have made my own, but it was fine. Like the harissa was delicious, and it saved me a lot of time. Okay, so another way when I asked myself, how can I let this be easy, that manifested was um, just rather than, because what can happen is you start planning and you think, oh, it would be great to have, some carrots, and it'd be great to have some potatoes, and it'd be great to have like all these extra sides. Like you can get carried away with the planning. I know I can. And so how can I let this be easy? Just decided, okay, we're gonna have potatoes, of course, because that's non-negotiable in our house, with my Irishman in attendance. And then like just focusing on only doing one other side and doing that really well. So rather than having like three different salads to do, just for the lamb meal, I decided to do like a Moroccan kind of inspired carrot salad. But I was like, this is going to be an amazing carrot salad. And so doing one thing well rather than having a couple of different options is, yeah, definitely lets things easy. Another one, how can I let this be easy, is not serving a starter or doing nibblies. So one of the events I got one of the guests to bring some, she'd offered. So I was like, yeah, okay, bring some things to snack. She brought a cheese plate. But generally my policy is when I'm having people over is I don't actually offer a starter, because otherwise then we end up filling up on the starter, and then you're not super hungry for the main meal, and it just keeps it so much simpler. I do always have roast pistachios in the house, so if something happens, and actually that did happen on one event. I had guests coming in, some of the guests got delayed with traffic and on their way from Sydney, so we ended up eating a lot later, and so I got the pistachios out so that we could have a snack while we were waiting for the other guests to arrive. So yeah, but my general policy is not having a starter, so I only do two courses. So if I'm serving like main course, and usually I go main course and dessert, but sometimes I will go starter and main course, but that keeps it simple. So you don't need like multiple courses. Of course, if you want to, amazing, you can do that. But again, in the spirit of how can I let this be easy, that's definitely one to do. Another really, how can I let this be easy, is outsourcing dessert. So when guests offer to make dessert, then I take them up on that. And in the past, I used to kind of not feel like I should, but I wanted to do everything. And so I didn't want someone else's dessert, but that I actually really like the times where I do, like if someone offers, yeah, would you mind bringing dessert? Like it's always so great to have that sorted. I don't have to think about it. So it does make it so much easier, but it's also really lovely to experience and let other people's cooking skills shine as well. Like, so it's not all about me and my cooking. So that worked out really well. And actually, I find like actually having like a little bit of a discussion with the guest around like what you're serving, and so what would make sense for them to bring, like that can be really fun as well. And actually, that event with the 20 people, I got two people to bring dessert. So it's like, oh, okay, one person's doing lemon tart, and so the other person was like, okay, cool, I'll do something chocolate, and it was just, yeah, it worked out really well. Um, Another is another way, like letting it be easy is, oh gosh, this is a big one, is asking your guests about dietary requirements beforehand. Because like no matter, like you can always forget what people have, and also things change as well, like as people are going through. So they may not have had dietary requirements last time, but now they're focusing on, like, they've got some gut thing that they're being mindful of. So it's always a good idea, like letting that be easy. So asking that question. And actually had like two different guests who I didn't know that they had specific dietary requirements, and they hadn't volunteered the information when I invited them. And so when I asked, they were like, "Oh yeah, sorry, I should have mentioned that." um, and then and so the cool thing was that rather than, at first I was like, "Oh, okay, well, so one of the people couldn't have fish, and I'd planned to roast a whole salmon in the wood-fired oven." So at the time, I was like, oh, okay, well, then I need to provide a different protein for this guest. And she was like, I'll just bring something. I'll bring something for me. And I was like, I, like at first I was like, oh no, I'll do it. And then I thought about it for a minute, and I was like, how can I let this be easy? And I was like, oh yeah, let her bring her own protein. So we did that, and it worked out really well. And then, another guest couldn't have dairy, so it's like, how can I let this be easy? And they were like, oh, and gluten as well. So just, they were like, they brought their own desserts, so like that was easy as well. So yeah, the dietary requirements is a huge one. And another way I like how can I let this be easy, was just thinking about the flow of when we had guests over, and actually designating one of the guests, appointing them to be the drinks person, so that, because my Irishman was like manning the wood-fired oven, so he had his responsibilities, and just having someone who was taking care of, like, just making sure everyone's drinks were topped up, and that if someone needed a drink, that they could do that. That worked really well as well. So outsourcing, or yeah, designating someone as your bartender is often is another great thing to do. So yeah, they're my concrete examples of how, and if I hadn't have asked myself, how can I let this be easy, I would have had a very different experience. So don't underestimate the power of this one simple question. And my bonus tip for you in terms of when you're entertaining and helping feel that sense of ease is, I like, set the table first. So when it's like on the day, the first thing I do, unless, sometimes there may be another thing to do first, but one of the tasks that I get done early in the process is laying the table. And I think just psychologically, that makes it feel like, okay, I've got that done. I'm ready for guests. And so then it doesn't matter like what else falls behind, because you can catch up other things, but you've got that sense of ease of like, yeah, we're ready for guests to arrive. And so, it presents that, oh yeah, like we've got this under control. Whereas if you're scrambling, and I mean, you can get someone else to set the table, that might, when a guest to set the table when they arrive, like that's could work as well. But for me, I just feel this sense of, yeah, I've got this when I do set the table first. Okay, so that's it for today. So yeah, I would like, if you are cooking, I do hope you use this question and you are able to bring that ease and joy, because having friends over, having family, loved ones in your house, like there's nothing like it. It's so, yeah, I love going out to restaurants, but having people in your home is such a, beautiful way to foster connection. And so if you found this idea helpful, like I'd really appreciate it if you like just send your one friend a link to, if you're listening to the podcast, a link to the podcast, or if you're watching the video on YouTube, send them a link to the video so that they can check it out. And I also in December, this I just want to let you know that I'm running the Stonesoup 8 days of Christmas. And so what happens is 8 days in December. Um, I give away some value packed free gifts every one gift a day every day for the 8 days of December. And the reason for 8 rather than 12 days of Christmas is that 8's my lucky number. And also we don't want it to drag on forever. So there'll be all cooking related. So little bonus trainings, ebooks, tips and tricks. So anything like different things, different tools and gifts to help make celebrating the holidays with ease and joy. And some of them will be holiday related. Then also some will be just general cooking related as well. So there's no strings, no tinsel attached to it. So you want it, but if you want to be make sure you to get the gifts, you need to be on my email list. So to do that, you just need to go to check out the link with the show notes, or go to Stonesoup. So if you Google Stonesoup, and then if you click on the free recipe app page, there's a place to enter your details to sign up for my newsletter. And when you sign up for the newsletter, you'll get the free app as well. So if you haven't got that, definitely get the Stonesoup pre-ingredients app, which has got a heap of recipes that are really fun. And yeah, and then you'll be like on my list. And so you'll automatically receive the 8 days of Christmas in December. Okay, so have a fantastic week. Have fun entertaining, remembering just how can I let this be easy? And I will see you next week.